Яркие турная веселая. До свидания, лето, до свидания. Пожалуйста. Здравствуйте. Sorry, there's a little bit of Russian there. How you doing? This is a viewer request video on Ukraine, and Ukraine does need an update. I made a video about 2 weeks ago, roughly 2 weeks ago, well before I went to Florida, talking about what would happen in Ukraine. I said there would be major force escalation in Ukraine, and that is exactly what's happened. By the way, did you... Absolutely bizarre. Have you seen it? It's not like rumor. It sounds like a conspiracy. There's no way that happened. Did you see the video where Zelensky was calling for preemptive, he infers nuclear, preemptive strikes on Russia? He was actually saying, send more of this. He's always been saying, like, send more of this. And I'm not against him, okay? I'm not against Russians or Ukrainians. I'm not taking anybody's side on this. I'm not interested in politics. I'm interested and actually demonstrable, empirical, objective, logical facts. Okay, but he does make a video. He's calling for NATO and the West to make preemptive strikes on Russia. I was like, well, hello, World War III. Of all the things I never thought I would hear out of anybody's mouth, I mean, nothing really shocks me, but have you seen that video? Absolutely off the hook insane. Completely insane. I'm not on anyone's side. In Russia, I get along great with Russians, Ukrainians. I lived in Russia for quite a long time. I've been to Odessa, Simferopol, Yalta. I loved Ukraine. I've been there several times. So I'm not interested in, being a puppet for anybody. I'm sure as heck not on the side of the United States government, which is... Every government is evil and corrupt, and I don't care about politics, but I'm certainly not on the side of the MIC, military-industrial complex, or the U.S. government. And saying anything in this video, I'm interested in making demonstrable facts and seeing where things are actually going on this front. So just exactly as I said, Russia is ramping up forces. Russia right now is using, Kira Radek, I believe is her name. And there are many other confirmations of this. Using Ukrainian, I said Ukraine, Uranian. Sorry, I've been on the road for 1,000 miles the past 2 days. Using Iranian-made kamikaze drones, and the information from multiple sources is, and there's plenty of video of this, that they're using hundreds of them. There's actually a warhead in these kamikaze drones. They're remotely piloted, and of course, wherever they find, they want to go in. There we go. Russia so far has used roughly only less than 20% of ground forces in Ukraine. All of this talk over the past many months, okay, and I'm not taking a position on this, not that I'm for Ukraine or against Russia or vice versa. All of this talk in the West, like, Russia's retreating, look at that, the Ukrainians took this city back and that. This is demonstrably accurate, but it makes many, many incorrect assumptions about what is actually going on. There's annexed regions, of course, and there's a reason why Putin is actually doing that. 30% or more of Ukrainian power stations have been completely destroyed by Russian airstrikes, and that has ramped up immensely just in the past week. Sweden, by the way, remember the Nord Stream 2 and 1 pipeline that were destroyed? Sweden has revealed that they know who took down the Nord pipelines. Of course, it was the United States, by the way. But they said for security reasons, they won't say. Here's an official news headline. You can look this up yourself. Sweden won't share the findings of the investigation into the destruction of Nord 1, Nord 2 gas pipelines with the Russian authorities or Gazprom. Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson said on Monday. So, due to security, in other words, they know who did it. It was the United States, by the way, or NATO affiliated through the United States. Just as Biden said we'd take them out. And we did take them out, so that was the United States doing that. Russia, of course, is retreating up to the point that they have annexed those territories, and they will have been said out of Russia relative to the Ukrainians and NATO, which is backing, and the United States, of course, which is 100% undeniable, that justification for full force retaliation can and will occur, which is happening right now. Ukrainians right now are fleeing the country again in droves due to the destruction of infrastructure of both water and power. And I'm speaking about the United States government here, okay? And I'm certainly the furthest thing from anti-American, let me state that. And I'm not talking about the American people. The United States government, no one else is talking about this, nobody that I know of at all, and it's very important. The United States government does not give a hoot in hell about Ukraine or the Ukrainians. Do not. They don't care. The U.S. people do, but not the United States government. This involvement by the United States using support of man and material. We actually do have contractors on the ground training Ukrainians and also doing things. So we have both material and money and manpower on the ground in Ukraine. That's not a conspiracy or a rumor, it's a demonstrable fact. This serves many, many, many masters in the U.S. government, and you cannot separate out the U.S. government from the MIC, the military-industrial complex. And it's not conspiratorial, not interested in conspiracies, interested in facts and objective, logical, demonstrable, things that we know that are happening on the ground. What this serves is roughly 5 to 6 points. 5 primary ones. Serves as a proxy war with Russia. Russia, the Soviet Union, бывшего Советского Союза, SSSR, had a proxy war with the United States in Vietnam and Korea, as you may or may not know. We retaliated against the Sovietsky Soyuz and as Soviet Union, as Gorbachev admits, part of the reason for the collapse, he called it perestroika, for the collapse of the Soviet Union was the economic destruction of Russia. When they were in Afghanistan, we supplied Stingers, and they even made a movie about it. It's called Charlie Wilson's. We had a proxy war against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. The U.S. government, both whether it be people on the Democrats or the conservatives, there's no distinction between the military-industrial complex, which is getting an enormous amount of money from the government, and the Fed, and the left or the right. They seethe. They literally, the fangs drool at the idea of a proxy war against Russia. It serves that. And that's not my opinion or feeling or belief. The United States government, and especially the money that pours into the MIC, for a proxy war and all the man and material, because nothing gets a country out of recession faster than a conflict, by the way, especially a huge conflict about what's going on right now. They love this proxy war with Russia. They love it, love it, love it. There is more than enough evidence to show that the United States has fueled it. I don't think there's a single person on this earth, and I'm not anti-American by any stretch, that doesn't agree that the United States and NATO haven't fueled this. And that doesn't mean I'm pro... Don't you dare, by the way, accuse me of being pro-Kremlin or pro-Putin. Don't you even dare, please, please, I beg of you. Don't you even dare accuse me of that. Okay, we're talking about demonstrable facts here. I'm not on Putin's side, and I'm not on the side of the Kremlin. So proxy war, number one. Number two, what this fuels and this serves this master as number two, it serves as a great reset. And this is happening. Everybody with 2 eyes and ears sees this happening. We're blaming Russia, and meaning we, talk about the U.S. government, the people on the left and the right, blaming Russia for global inflation, blaming them for fuel costs, blaming them for economic collapse. It's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. This is happening in Europe, Australia, Canada, United States, big time. Russia, it's Russia's fault. Oh, my grandmother fell down the stairs last night and broke her ankle. Oh, it's Russia's fault. Because the cost of beans were so high, Grandma had to go down to the basement and get a jar of her old beans in her glass jar that she canned 10 years ago. And because Grandma had to go in the basement and she fell down and broke her ankle, it's Russia's fault. That's a bit of a humorous exaggeration, but it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And that does not make me pro-Kremlin or pro-Putin, so please step off if you even think of accusing me of that. Don't even do that, please, okay? I'm a patriotic American. I know how evil all governments are, including the government of the United States. I'm interested in demonstrable facts, logic, and wisdom about what is actually happening. I want to be completely contrary to the filth and trash that you see on any and every news channel, whether it be a news channel on the left or a news channel on the right. So this fuels a great reset, and there is a mountain of evidence for this. So you got a proxy war, it fuels the reset, we blame Russia for everything. Oh, you can't blame the United States government for fuel prices and economic collapse, Russia's fault! It's just so stupid. Stupid people believe it though. Russia's fault! It's all goes to Russia. It's the reason why my bananas and my eggs and my milk is so high. It's Russia's fault. It's not that senile old fool in the White House. No, it's Russia's fault. The third master this serves is it warns China against invading and dominating Taiwan. China, every expert on earth agrees 100% that China is watching very keenly what's happening between Russia and Ukraine and how the West and Europe are responding resultantly. That is undeniable. You can disagree all you want, but it's undeniable. That's the third master. The fourth master is the massive tonnage. I'm sure they're backing up huge semi-tractor trailer. Of course, it's wire transfer now, of course. Backing up semi-tractor trailer trucks of beep, 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 tons of cash to Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin. I forget the entity that makes we're sending them Stingers, but we've been sending them tons of the, I forget the tank busters. I forget what they are. We've been sending over plane load after plane load after plane load after plane load after plane load of the tank busters. I forget the name of the Javelins, right? Yeah. The MiC is really, really, really happy. And if you think that the United States population controls the Senate and the House and the Pentagon and the White House, you are wrong. Biggest control is the MiC, the military-industrial complex. Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Martin Marietta, all these entities of the MiC. That's number four. That's the fourth master that this money, man, and material serves over in Russia. Number five, U.S. government contractors are undeniably 100% operating very advanced weaponry for radar and also two trading Ukrainians. We do have, they're just contractors, they're not military. It's a euphemism, they're military. Yeah, so it's actually part of number four, which is the MiC. These are U.S. government contractors paying very, very handsomely to train Ukrainians to use this. A lot of the stuff can't be trained to them. It's very advanced stuff. Some of it is highly sensitive, the software, to operate these radar systems. Here's some other facts. Ukrainian, it's not my opinion, it's a fact. Ukrainian army is mostly destroyed. That's not my opinion. Best experts on earth say this fact. And 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers dead, 300 to 500,000 wounded. Started out with a standing army of roughly 600,000. Here's another fact. For every Russian wounded or ended in the field of battle in Ukraine, there are 5 to 7 Ukrainians wounded or KIA. So for every Russian, there's 5 to 7 Ukrainians wounded or KIA. Russia, right now, just as they're waiting, before the ground thawed out and early this year, Russia is waiting for the ground to freeze to roll in the Russian army and the material to support same. Okay? They are waiting for the ground to freeze. This is going to happen sometime in very late October or sometime in November. Can't predict the weather. So they're waiting for the ground to freeze. There's a lot of eastern Ukraine that's hideously swampy. By the way, Tu-160, which are nuclear bombers, Russia has moved close to the Finland border because Finland's become a NATO entity, going to become a member of NATO. Ukraine is actually advanced, fast-tracking membership to NATO. They've actually brought those in, and Belarus, which are tactical nuclear bombers, Tu-160s, Russian, tactical nuclear bombers. At the very least, Russia will take everything east of the Dnieper River. Yeah, everything east of the Dnieper River. Lastly, and most importantly, there's a lot of people say, I don't give a damn about Ukraine. This is understandable, but you should be. Globalization means conflicts on the other side of the world they will affect your wallet. Unless you're 100% off-grid and you're chopping your own wood and growing your own veggies. Unless you are one of those, you will be affected by what goes on over there because of so much interconnectivity and globalization. 100%. Unless you're totally off-grid, you will be affected. So the one thing that everybody's talking about, people say, why is the U.S. government sending so much friggin' money and weaponry to Ukraine and contractors? Why? There's all these masters, proxy war, fuels the Great Reset. We could blame Russia for everything. It warns China about Taiwan. It makes the Mick very, very happy. It's making the Mick happier than like a teenager who accidentally stumbled upon like a Playboy centerfold. Makes the Mick really, 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 really happy. So much money is pouring in because these people, when there's no conflict or war going on, you know, they're not making any money. Well, they still are, but Mick, by the way, controls the Senate and the House and the Pentagon 100%, and certainly so the White House. So you think it's you and your voting power? No, it's the Mick. It's not my opinion. That's not a conspiracy. That's fact. U.S. government contractors are operating over there. The Ukrainian army, it's not an opinion, it's a fact, is mostly destroyed. What I told you would happen roughly 2+ weeks ago, I said Russia will ramp the hell up. Of course, we knew about the troop deployment. I said Russia will greatly ramp up attacks, indiscriminate attacks on Ukraine. They're just going to start, they're really going to let the dogs loose. You know, let slip the dogs of war, as Hamlet said. Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. I told you that would happen. That's exactly what's happening. The only reason they haven't opened up full throttle is they're waiting for the ground to freeze, because you can't draw in a lot of those super heavy, you know, tanks, artillery, whatnot, until, because a lot of that area is swampy. You just can't take it. They're waiting for the ground to freeze. Happened late October, sometime November. Things will go full throttle. I don't know how long it's going to take them to escalate it to full throttle. And the United States government is going to wring their hands, as well as NATO and Europe. They get to blame the entire reset on Russia. Russia did it. It's Russia. Your eggs are too expensive. Well, it's Russia. Blame Russia. Your gas is too expensive. Blame Russia. You know, you can't afford to pay your bills or eat or feed your kids. Oh, it's Russia's fault. You know, Russia did it. Russia did it. Wrong. Russia did it. I don't care whose side you're on. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm interested in facts, logic, and wisdom. I'm not interested in the left. I'm not interested in the right. I'm certainly not pro-Putin, pro-Kremlin, and I'm certainly not pro-Mick and pro-Pentagon and White House. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm interested in what is actually happening. I read every comment. Tell me what you think. Lux veritas. Большое вам спасибо и увидимся. I get along great with Ukrainians. I get along great with Russians. Yes, and I can certainly, as an intelligent and wise person, distinguish between governments and the people that live under their thumb. Okay? A lot of Americans say, hey, damn Russians! Well, you never even met a Russian, probably. You know, you've just been watching too much propaganda on MSNBC or any of the other channels, CNN. They're all bad. All of them. Some are way worse than others, but anyway. So that's what's happening in Ukraine. Увидимся. Ты меня слышишь? Ты понял? Ты понял? Ясно, как смертный грек. Я? Увидимся.